Good morning, everyone. This is Judith A. Cope. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. So, I was just thinking, it's a rainy morning here in St. Louis, and I was just thinking, life is so fascinating, and many of us don't even understand what we came here to do, what we came here to accomplish. Like, some of it just absolutely doesn't make sense to people. And you can tell because they keep doing the same things over and over again. They date the same person in different skin over and over again. They encounter a harsh personality in a loved one, and then they go and marry that harsh personality, even though they thought they didn't like that. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're not learning your lessons, they keep reappearing. And whatever you don't forgive and release, it just haunts you, and it shows up over and over again. It is very important to be a forgiving person. No one says you have to forget what happened to you, but your spirit is not evolving when you're angry at someone or disappointed in someone or frustrated with someone to the point where you think about it all the time and you refuse to forgive them. I think that is crippling behavior. I think it makes you sick. I think it makes you sad. It weakens you, and it keeps you from reaching some of your goals because that energy could go to something new, but you're so busy focused behind you, you can't see the road ahead of you. Like I put in the show notes yesterday, a lot of people want to be healthy, but they don't focus on their health. They focus on what's ailing them. You see it all the time. There's people constantly who are just like, I'm focusing on my health. And then they tell you all these things that are wrong with them. And it's like, well, that's not really helping you. That's not focusing on your health. That's focusing on your illness. I was thinking yesterday, one of the most impactful books I ever read was The Power of Intention by, why does his name just pop out of my, Wayne Dyer. Thank you, Dr. Wayne Dyer. I was 45 when I read this book, so I was no baby, but it changed my life. At that point, I really needed that knowledge and information because, before you can manifest, before you can do all these other things that are buzzwords right now, you have to be intentional. And he breaks it down in that book in a very real way. He also has a chapter about family and, how you have to learn how to deal with this group of people you're in. And he doesn't use the word self-betray, but he basically gives you good tools to figure out how to deal with people that you're related to, because those are the people that aren't going to go away. You're going to stay related to them. You can cut them out of your life and you can go no contact and you can do all of that. But if you're going no contact and thinking about them all the time, that's counterintuitive. That's not what needs to happen. So the power of intention really changed my life, and it really helps you get to the bottom of why. Why are you doing these things? What does it really mean? What is your intention behind everything that you're doing? Because people wonder why their lives never take off. But it's not just that your life is not taking off. It's the signal that you're sending to God, the universe, whoever you believe is in charge of all of this, infinite intelligence, source, whatever you want to call it is fine. I call it God. And it's your signal that God responds to. It's not what you say. It's really not what you say, because a lot of y'all just say anything. You say whatever you think a person wants to hear. You say these things that are completely not based in any kind of reality. And I say that loosely because reality is very, very subjective and very transient. Like, reality changes constantly. So it's not based in any kind of factual thing. You're just saying stuff, and God knows the truth. God is in the details. So those those things that you're saying to other people, like, I'm doing this and this and this, and God knows you're not doing it, and you know you're not doing it for real, that's not helping your cause, because that's what the universe responds to, not to what you just said you were doing. It responds to the energy behind that, which is the lie. And so then it says, well, the universe or God or whatever you believe says, okay, well, if you're going to lie about it, I'm going to keep reproducing situations. So you have to lie about wherever it is you are, because you're clearly not ready for the truth. You can't handle the truth. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are we doing? There's so much of this life that is existential, that's spiritual, that points to it being a simulation for you to learn and grow. And a lot of us just don't want the lessons. We just want to do what we want to do. I just watched that for decades. Someone who was completely unhealthy, completely depressed, full of all kinds of health challenges. And when presented with information, they'd look at you, pretend they were going to do it, and then didn't do anything remotely close to that. And God knew the signal. God knows when you're lying. God knows when you're just making up shit and trying to impress people, or trying to fool people, or even trying to fool yourself. But God cannot be fooled. The universe cannot be fooled. Everybody thinks that they are just so sharp and they're so with it, and this fake it till you make it thing. Yeah, a little of that, but you all to go too far. Some of you all just make shit up totally, constantly. I'm faking it till I'm making it. Well, you might not make it at all if you keep faking it. At some point, you have to be honest, and honest with yourself. The reason why people are so freaked out by AI, and I keep reading these weird headlines. AI helped someone kill themselves. AI, listen, where we are with AI right now, you have to program it. Your chat or your Gemini or your, Claude, whatever you use, is going to be reflective of you. So if I sit up and ask a bunch of questions of how to harm myself, they give you all these warnings. Hey, don't harm yourself. Call somebody. You know what I mean? They try to put that in there. If you need help, go get help. You know what I mean? They put that in there. But if I, inundate the AI with this request of what I want to do, eventually it's not a person and it's not a therapist. It's going to be like, look, I can see how you could override it, but I don't try to override it. AI right now really reminds me of the movie Sphere, and I'm not suggesting anybody go watch this movie. It was not a very good movie to me. I think it's based off a Michael Crichton book. I think it was very interesting, the concept, but AI is like spiritual technology. So in the movie, and this is spoiler alerts, but hell, it's a 30-year-old movie. There's this sphere in the bottom of the ocean, and Dustin Hoffman and Sharon Stone and Samuel Jackson are dispatched to go check it out. And so over the time that they're studying this thing, all of these bad things start to happen on the little submarine they're in and the crew that they have. There's a hilarious scene where Queen Latifah gets attacked by, I want to say jellyfish or something. It's kind of funny because she's very new to her acting career in this. And she's like, oh, this is so pretty. Oh, wait, they biting me. And I don't know. That just made me laugh. And she doesn't fare well with whatever's going on that's attacking her. And then other things start to happen. And then Samuel L. Jackson starts to act like a zombie. And all this weird shit starts to happen. And they go, it's not necessarily a horror film, but they make you start to think like this orb is fucking them up. And by the end of the movie, they realize that the orb was whatever you bring to it, it's what it is going to reproduce. So instead of bringing love and kindness and joy and excitement to the orb, they brought their fear. and then their fear manifested. So that's a deep message, just in a poorly made film. And it's like the last 10 minutes where they start to really put the pieces together. Like, we had this great opportunity to manifest a better world, and instead we manifested all of our fears and we're fucked up for it. And then they all agree to forget the orb, and the orb flies out of the ocean into outer space or something crazy. I'm not suggesting at all you spend 2 hours watching this, but that's a lot of what AI really is. It right now at this stage, and I can't speak to the future of what's coming down the pipe, but right now, that's what it is. Whatever you put into it is what you're going to get. So it's also a reflection of the quality of your life. You have to have good questions. If you ask better questions, you're going to get better answers for your life, right? If you have good prompts, you're going to get great responses from AI. It's spiritual intelligence, and whatever they want to turn it into, I don't know. And I don't know that that's going to work. I don't know that. I feel like people are starting to wake up and recognize evil is all around us. And there are a lot of people who don't have good intentions, and they're making a lot of big decisions for you and your life and your loved ones. But we have an opportunity to use this technology to do something good. And many people are. That's not making the news, but many people have healed their health problems with AI. They have gone on and worked through all kinds of complicated mental and social issues. I know I have. There are things I've worked through with ChatGPT that I couldn't work through by myself, but I wanted to. I believe in therapy. If you need therapy, go get it. But sometimes you just have questions, and like getting a different voice on it, it's like, okay, I get it now. And it really helped me because I was mourning my mom. I was also coming down from being a full-time caregiver, but I also was having a crisis. Like, it was frustrating, and it brought a lot of feelings to the surface. And a lot of the issues I had in my relationship with my mom, it wasn't perfect. We had a very challenging relationship, and I think most daughters do. I'm not saying all, but a lot of daughters have really, really challenging and nuanced relationships with their mothers. It's the most under-examined relationship on the planet. And I have a saying, every woman isn't a mother, every woman isn't a wife, but every woman is a daughter. And it is complicated. You get to try to figure out how to live this life with this woman who may or may not be team you. And a lot of what you understand about womanhood comes from your mom. And what if your mom wasn't happy with her life? She's going to be a very interesting type of parent. So yeah, and AI helped me work through all of that. So it is spiritual technology. And I do believe that a lot of people right now have an opportunity to manifest a better world and a better situation for themselves. And if you don't let your fear overcome wherever you are, whether it's using AI, whether it's quitting your shitty job or leaving an abusive marriage or whatever crossroads you find yourself in, most of the time it's jobs. A lot of us are afraid to leave really terrible jobs. Or even good jobs that you've outgrown. The job that you once loved, but you don't love it anymore. People are afraid to leave. If you allow yourself to have faith over fear, you will do a lot of great things in the world. Many people told me not to quit my job. Don't quit. What about your insurance? What about your pension? Listen, I haven't been here long enough to get a pension that would make any difference in my life. $500 extra a month when I'm in my 70s is not what I'm going for. And I'm not belittling that. My mom had one of her sources was $500. That's great. But that's not what I'm going for. And I feel like now I have the opportunity to have the career I've always wanted. And that career will be successful, and that career will include money, however it comes in. And I'm not going to not go chase my future waiting on, some money from the county that may or may not even be there. Because you try to talk to anybody in St. Louis County about your pension, and they're pretty much like, if you're not about to turn 62, just call us back when you're 62. I don't know that the money is even there. There's so much corruption here. Again, my point is you have to use the spiritual technology that's out here. You need to pray if you are a praying person. And instead of worrying about all the stuff that could happen, because that is obviously a large amount of things, focus on what you believe will happen. Focus on your faith, because just as much as you see all this stuff going on physically, there is a spiritual war that is happening, and you must choose sides. You have to pick. There's no more straddling the fence. And I think that's why a lot of people are now suddenly dying. They're not spiritually intact. They're not physically intact. They cannot participate in this. They don't have it. I've heard of 3 or 4 sudden deaths recently. And for what my brother's health was, it was kind of sudden. He'd been declining for years, and then he suddenly was like, his body gave up. But I think that's where we are. We are being spiritually and physically demanded of, and we're not paying attention to that. They want you to just worry about Iran. Iran is going to do what it's going to do. Trump's going to do whatever he's going to do. But I don't believe that that's what we're supposed to be focusing on. This is a great time to be alive. This is a great time to be alive. We have an opportunity to build this thing back better than ever, because it's fucked up. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of stuff that's fucked up. And if you go back over the course of this podcast, you can hear me change, And, I was very upset under Donald Trump's first regime. But then I realized this is kind of like a joke. And also, when you start dealing with life and death with people, between his first presidency and now, I had to take care of my mom intensely. And the first time I cared a lot about him. The second time, I don't give a shit. Good luck, dude. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen under him. But I know that there are issues bigger and more concerning. So anyway, the message is focus on faith over your fears. Your fears can overtake you. Be intentional. And spiritual intelligence exists. Use it. But know that AI is just like sphere. Whatever you bring to it is what's going to happen. And that's true for your life. Whatever you think about is what's happening. So if you think about your fear, you think about worry, you think about lack, you think about not having, you think about sickness, that's exactly what you're going to reproduce in your life. That's what this life is. It's a giant copy machine. So think about it that way. Every time you say something, that's what's going to happen. And it's not just what you say, it's your intention beneath it. God is nuanced. You cannot just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z and then be thinking and feeling something else different. God is going to call your bluff every time. Infinite intelligence calls your bluff every time. God knows your heart. God knows your intentions. Nothing is a surprise to God. When something didn't work out the way you wanted it to, that's not a surprise to God. It's a surprise to you. It's a disappointment to you. So you have to ask yourself, well, why did this not work out for me? And maybe it's because if this happened, then that wouldn't have happened. But you prayed for that a long time ago. You see, it's simple, but it's complicated. But really, it's who you are being in the world. That's all that your life is. A series of your decisions. Whatever you're disappointed in right now, it goes back to a choice that you made. And a lot of people are conflicted. They say one thing, they intend another thing, and then they do something totally different from that, both of those other things. And that's just not the way you're going to advance. You have to get clear. You have to get focused. You have to get faithful. And that's what was on my heart this morning. I love you. I hope your life goes great today and this weekend. I hope that everything that you want is good for you and materializes for you. But this is manifestation 101, which is before you manifest, before you can become this person that you believe yourself to be and the things you think you really want, you have to be intentional. And that means you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to how you feel, what you think, what you believe. And that's where the heavy lifting is. And a lot of us have checked out, and they want you checked out. You can't win a spiritual war if you stressed out about 42 other things. You've already lost because you're not focusing on how good God is. You worried. And when you spend your life worried, they got you. You're going to get God for real. So take care of yourselves. Be well. Like I said, I love you. Have an amazing weekend. Take care. Bye.